And views, we've come to the back end of the show, and thank you so much for staying with us. The time is 9:47 Central African time, and our last story is a very important one. It's one that deserves, I think, a lot more attention than it is getting. Get a lot of this. Would you believe it if I told you that Israel is arming Palestinians? Not resistance fighters, but gangs, criminals, militias with the links to ISIS, people that loot humanitarian aid, people that terrorize civilians, and doing it all under the watch and protection and funding of the Israeli government. Sounds outrageous, right? Well, it's been confirmed by Israel's own prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. And for us here in South Africa, this tactic should eerily be familiar. During the dark days of apartheid, when the regime felt like it was losing its grip, it was losing its power, they resorted to arming black South Africans to fight other black South Africans, ultimately fueling what they called black on black violence to kind of deflect from their own brutality and break the back of resistance movements. Essentially, it was a divided, conquer and kill by proxy kind of tactic. And today, in true apartheid fashion and style, Israel appears to be playing from the same apartheid playbook in Gaza. Gangs like the so-called Abu Shabab popular forces, they're extorting aid convoys, hoarding baby formula, assaulting humanitarian workers, and are reportedly being armed and protected by Israel to undermine Hamas and to destabilize Palestinian society from within. But what's the real goal here? And what does this tell us about the evolving face of occupation and oppression in Gaza? And to a lot of South Africans, does it give off that sense that this is a moment of desperation? We've seen it play out here, apartheid South Africa, when now you want people that essentially are suffering the same fate because of your own transgressions. It's like, I can't fight you, so the best that I can do is try to turn you against each other. And joining us now from Jenin is Osama Nazzal. He's a Palestinian journalist who's been following these deeply troubling developments on the ground, and will be giving us a bit more insight on that front. Osama, jazakallah so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on Salam Media. Really appreciate you giving us your time, and good morning.
Good morning. You're welcome.
I think let's kickstart the conversation with the basics. Who is Abu Shabab? What do we know about some of these gangs that are operating in Gaza under Israeli protection? What is their modus operandi? And from what you gathered, what's the ultimate goal that is leading the Israeli occupying forces and that pariah government to fund them, to give them money, to further cause chaos in an already destabilized Gaza?
First of all, we need to understand that the Palestinian people, whether in Gaza, the West Bank, or anywhere the Palestinians exist, are subjected to a heinous genocidal war by the Zionist colonial power of Israel. This colonial power of Israel is using all the methods and all the means of murder, annihilation, extermination of the Palestinian people in order to end the existence of the Palestinians. And this is not strange to Israel because these are the principles on which this colonial entity was established in 1948. They said at the beginning that they are coming to a land without a people for a people without a land. Of course, publishing such propaganda and such lies because the people of Palestine have always been on their homeland. Now, Israel used all the American weapons and all the Western weapons that were provided for it since the start of its genocide against the people of Palestine. But it failed to end the existence of the Palestinian people who refused to leave their homeland despite all the ordeals and all the catastrophes they are going through. Now Israel is using new methods by recruiting its collaborators and its spies in order to disintegrate the social fabric of the Palestinian society and turn a blow to the Palestinian society cohesion, betting on that as a way to exhaust the Palestinian people and force them out of their homeland. So these groups, and as you mentioned in your introduction, when there is a colonial power or occupation entity, it recruits such groups of people to serve its interest. But in the end, they fail. And this is not the first time that Israel is using its collaborators against the Palestinian people and the Palestinian society. This is one of the systematic Israeli policies since the start of the occupation in 1948, but it never succeeded, as the Palestinian people are a people who believe in their homeland and in freedom and justice, and all these phenomena are just whimsical and they go away.
Mm, mm, No, I think very, very important that you mentioned that. Um, let's talk about the modus operandi of Abu Shabab. This profile. What do we know about him? What do we know about the organization? And the reports that we're gathering about just the torment that they're further inflicting on their own people, the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza. We're getting reports that they are hijacking humanitarian aid convoys. Is this true? Is there more about this group and this organization that the world needs to know about?
I think Israel is trying to exaggerate this story and show the world that the problem lies with the Palestinian people themselves, that there are uh, groups acting against the humanitarian aid convoys and other things. Why? Because Israel is trying to attract the attention of the world to this issue and
Mm,
at the expense of the major issue, which is the Israeli genocidal policy and genocidal operation that has been going on for more than 615 days. The major problem is the Israeli genocidal campaign, and they are talking about the humanitarian aid convoys. Israel has been preventing the entry of any humanitarian aid into Gaza for more than 3 months after the end of the temporary short ceasefire that Palestine witnessed. So we don't want to be distracted by the Israeli propaganda and the Israeli lies and the Israeli media policy, which tries to exonerate the Israeli occupation government and the Israeli army and the Israeli gangsters from the crime that they commit and project that on other groups. But any group that is working within the frame of the Israeli occupation is part of the Israeli occupation, and it can't be called a Palestinian group because
mm,
Palestinian people consider any person, any individual, any group that does not act according to the Palestinian national norms and the Palestinian national principles no longer Palestinians, and they are part of the apartheid, the colonial, and the occupation entity of Israel. Israel is killing hundreds every day of Palestinian children and women and elderly. Israel is destroying everything. Gaza is a heap of dust because of the Israeli bombs and the Israeli missiles. We don't want to buy in the Israeli narrative, the Israeli story, and focus on these groups and forget the major issue, which is Israel and the Israeli officials who are accused by the international community and the international judicial system as war crimes, war criminals committing crimes against humanity.
Mm, mm, mm. And I think it's a very, very important point that you're making, that we must not play to the propaganda. We must not lose focus on what's at play here, which is, I think, is evident for everyone to see. There's a genocide against the people of Palestine. But I think in parallel, it's also important to talk about the paddled, the continued paddling of lies and propaganda by the Israeli government, and one of which is there's a growing dissent from the people of Palestine, from the people of Gaza on Hamas. And that's why you probably have groups like, the ones that we're talking about today, who are mushrooming, and they're being armed by the Israeli forces. How true is that? Is there growing dissent against Hamas? Are the people of Palestine saying Hamas doesn't represent us anymore? We are finding ourselves where we are because of them. Every time a building gets bombed, they're saying they're looking for Hamas operatives, and ultimately we're the ones that suffer. That is the propaganda that is being peddled. Is there any kind of water that it handles? Does it hold any kind of ground?
Look, brother, Israel is using Hamas or any other Palestinian faction or Palestinian party in order to justify its war crimes and its crimes against humanity, telling the world that it is fighting Hamas, it is fighting armed groups. But in fact, Israel is not fighting Hamas or any other certain party in Palestine. Israel is fighting every Palestinian citizen, every Palestinian person, because this is the Israeli agenda, this is the Israeli plan to empty all of Palestine of the indigenous people of Palestine. For example, while we are speaking now, large Israeli military forces are storming into the Palestinian city of Nablus in the middle of the West Bank, where there are no Hamas members at all. And this city is under the control of the Palestinian Authority, headed by the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. So, what is the justification of the Israeli raid into Nablus now and into Jenin early this morning, detaining people, destroying houses, taking over land? Hamas is not here, but
Mm.
Israel has a clear policy, ethnic cleansing, genocide, and colonizing every inch of the Palestinian land, killing the people of Palestine, and expelling them from their homeland. That is the policy. So when Israel is talking about Hamas, it is just in order to have a cover up for its plan and its program that is based on ethnic cleansing and genocide. In the West Bank, in Ramallah, where I'm speaking from, and Ramallah is the seat of the Palestinian Authority government, just a few kilometers away from me, Israeli settlers attack Palestinian villages, set fire to Palestinian houses and properties. We have 950 Israeli checkpoints in the West Bank where there is no Hamas. So why Israel is doing that, though there is no Hamas here? Because Israel does not differentiate between a Palestinian and another, as it has one plan and one policy. All the land for the Jewish colonists, and no Palestinian is allowed to live here.
I think we're going to leave on that note, Brother Osama. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure getting those insights from you on the ground in Palestine. Really, really appreciate it, and hope to chat to you again in the not so distant future.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got that was Osama Nazzal, Jenin-based Palestinian journalist. And yeah, he's giving us, I think, insight on a very, very interesting story that has emerged. And one person that is at the center of this story is Abu Shabab. He's the new figure, Yasir Abu Shabab. He's a member of the Tarabin tribe. It's one of the largest tribes in Gaza, and is currently the central figure behind a new local militia. It is operating in cooperation with Israel. And in the past, he maintained arms smuggling ties with ISIS in the Sinai. Yeah, it'll be interesting, to see what comes of this figure. We'll be covering more of it because I think there's so much into the story. But for now, we're going to wrap up the show. It's been quite a hectic one. There's been a lot of, topics that are just demanding psychologically. And I'm sure you also want some reprieve. That's why after this show, we'll be getting, I think, some sort of reprieve. It's going to be a nice laid back show. Julie Ali is coming with Tuesdays, mid-morning Tuesdays with Julie Ali. And I'll be back with you again for the Wednesday edition of the show. Inayat Wadi will be coming back in the evening on Wednesday for Wednesday Nights with Inayat. So there's a lot lined up on Salam Media that you need to keep your eyes and ears glued and locked up on. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media pages. Search at Salam Media to get the latest news and updates about all of the current affairs. What's here on the continent, the Middle East, Europe, everything and anything that is worthy of you knowing. Be assured that you'll be getting it here firsthand on your home of humanitarian journalism. But for now, from myself, Salailo Makwidiri, and the rest of the News and Views team, it's goodbye for now. Sharp, sharp.